Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we started Chapter 7 of the Lacon Majoris invasion, and between episodes I actually did a little bit of passive tweaking. I got rid of I believe it was my aimed shots perks or skills, completely removed them and put them into debuffs, because the suppression damage is worthless. Putting vulnerabilities, making the enemies deal less damage was a big thing. Critical hit strength for every debuff on the target, so my crits hit harder. And then all of the damage bonus against armor breaking, armor piercing, and shield piercing attacks. And then I gave myself consecrated capacitors because I'm sitting here using the melta pistols and they overheat, so I'm getting bonus damage as I'm overheating. The idea here is, just to do that, I upgraded the shards in my inoculator and in my Inferno pistol. So now, as you can see, I get 30 HP per hit. I just realized that's almost 10% bonus damage for every debuff. That's actually really good. Yeah, so that's going to pan out really well for us.
This is a straightforward rescue mission. Get in, save some Imperial units under fire, take command of the survivors, and get out. I don't even dare to ask why an Inquisitor is handling this. I mark the distress beacons and the extraction zone on your map.
Hey, this is actually a little bit easier. I had to level up once off-screen to get the skill point I needed for the heat weapons, but I had also sat around running a bunch of intel missions to get that melt-a-gun I got last time. I decided to max out just to see how it plays, and it wasn't that good. Like, the gun itself was strong, but the unique trait on it was increased damage while in max suppression, so it fell off in terms of usefulness real quick. But it's good to see that there seems to be a cap. These missions aren't just leveling to me, they're a set level, so this one should always be 81, I guess. Which is fine, I can work with that. If I really start struggling, then I'll stop and run a bunch of intel, but it seems to be pretty manageable at this state. And knowing I can, if I need to off-screen, I can just run some intel to power level. I mean, it's not even really power leveling, because I'm not doing it quick. It took me a couple hours just to get to one level. Unfortunately, I'm not finding weapons that are better than what I have. Which I understand, can't give good weapons every time, but it's weird when you get stuff that's like, oh, I was getting stuff that's 10 levels higher than some of my existing gear, because I have stuff from level 66 or below. And I get new stuff and it's like, oh yeah, this is 50 points worse. And I'm sitting here thinking, how? How is 10 levels still that much worse than my existing gear? I do understand how I'm getting some of my sustain, though, when you look at it. Every one of these, every other hit is from the one pistol that gives a chance for, a percent health or healing for a good amount. So I have that, I have 30 HP on hit, every other hit giving me 30 HP. Sadly, that doesn't do a whole lot, because still, I think it's my damage resistance and like defense proper is still so low. But the debuff tree is definitely something I'd say look into if you're running an assassin, because those armor break skills, like the charge beam I do, is considered an armor break. So I'm getting 9% more damage off every hit of that just because I can. And then once I level it up enough,
find the rest of the survivors.
Once I level it up enough, I can get the, what is it? 5% more damage for every debuff. And you see off just standard me opening fire how many debuffs I can stack. So it gives you an idea of how dangerous I can get real fast. I mean, even if you look at some of these hits, oh, it's 4 debuffs. That's 20% damage. Or that, how I'm just suddenly getting tons of debuffs. You know, all of that stacks and is giving me what would be giving me more damage outright. Man, I hope these guardsmen survive, because it doesn't look good. I do wish you could order them to just stay where they are, because like I don't want them following me. I don't want them following me, nor do I need them following me. But I guess I have to just manually go in and do stuff like this to try to thin their numbers.
These ones are lucky to be alive. There is more that need your help.
And they don't heal passively, which is a bit rough. I haven't tried using some of the turrets as the tech adept. I do wonder if they get any tricks they can pull that might be like, oh hey, we can effectively heal these guys, because then that kind of becomes a strategy of plop that down and start healing. I got some blueprints for digital weapons. I might actually grab that or make a couple and see what I get, just because the mines are good, but getting like boosted crit chance and boosted damage might be the play, and I might get a really good effect on them. I don't know, it's something I have to just kind of nut up and make a bunch and see what I can roll. I hate when I face the wrong way and do that. And my damage just starts spiking, which is nice.
At your command.
Okay, so I have to clear this room, then I can double back and leave. I am worried though what's going to come of the Dark Eldar, because they've mentioned them in this bit. They're like, oh yeah, they've stepped up their raids. The Talos are probably the scariest thing I can think of. And I mean, yeah, that one or two levels I've gotten, actually just one level from last time, giving me the, what, 50% damage suffered reduction is great. You know, that saves me a lot of danger, but it doesn't fix everything.
Saving things, but I stand corrected.
Purified.
You know, I'm still taking 200% damage. It feels like drops in a bucket, even though realistically I just cut a fifth of the damage I'd be taking out. I guess that to a degree it's about perspective. I mean, I can survive a hit either way. This way I can survive probably another hit. Let's see, can we get a kill off in one go? No. We get close. But it is unfortunately not enough. Oh, I had that thing so close. All it took was a couple extra hits, and I mean, that's a good sign, realistically, if I can take on a dreadnought and almost drop it in one fell swoop. I'm always hoping for those to drop some high-end loot. I do need the money, though. I burned a ton fusing the Archaeotech shards together. See, that would be useful if I could inflict bleeding.
Maim the heretic, slay the treacherous Xenos, banish the fork-tongued demon spawn.
Yeah, once I start getting that 5% more damage per debuff, that's gonna be real gross. I also think that might be definitely a direction to look at more for players, is the debuff tree for Assassin. It's definitely something depending on your weapons. I think a lot of the snipers have some degree of armor break. Like, I know the Exodus rifle does, but you know, can't get an Exodus rifle to drop. I tried to put some slots on this weapon, but the game was just like, no, you can't, which kind of sucked. I could have put another one on the Inferno pistol. I contemplated it, but at the same time I wasn't 100% sure how I... The big thing was how long I was going to keep these things. You know, if I find a new one, or if, you know, I get a better weapon. That's effectively the kicker here, is whether or not I find a better weapon. Because if I can find a better weapon, sure, why not? I'll just swap these out. Especially if I can get the slots again. Considering some of the passives I can get on weapons, I would rather have a couple slots for me to just get HP on hit. Yeah, I could roll one that has a natural HP on hit and it could be better than my shards, but there's also a chance I don't. And that's kind of my viewpoint on it, is this way I get a static thing of, I know if I have the right shard, I can get like 20 or 30 HP on hit. I think I can pull max 20 per shard. And you know, why wouldn't I take that? Get two of them 40 HP on hit? That is... I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's sure better than no HP on hit.
There was a protective hex on the chest. I must defeat the summoned creature. Time to
Hey, Spark of Glory, I can use that. Because that's upgrading... At least I saw I can put a slot using one of those, so... that pans out well for me. Alright, everybody, group up. Ooh, look at that. Toasty. Yeah, definitely don't sleep on these. I think that's the big thing, is the continuous beams. I wish I could get a good set of grav pistols. I think I could maybe make those work with something fancy, because they have a lot of armor break. It would just have to be... I would need a lot of extra tricks on them. A lot of debuffer effects just for extra damage. Which honestly I would take, you know. Oh. Enemies with this debuff, if you get hit, or you hit them, they suffer this debuff now. I would take that. As long as I can inflict the initial debuff that's needed to proc the other things, I can just chain them then. That's a perfectly fine system. That's how I've been kind of running some of my weapons on this character and other characters. Where it's like, oh, you deal bleed on against poison guys. Well, I have a weapon that poisons people, so I deal bleed. Just trying to look. I'm pulling, I don't know, 10 to, not like 9 to maybe 12 debuffs? Depending on what lands. Some of them only stick around for, you know, a split second, but I'd say probably 10 on average. Especially if I'm using the needle rifle. That's a solid, like that's 50% damage bonus. Congratulations, I know how to do math, you know. But still, that's 50%, that is solid. It's not, you know, oh, it's gonna carry me, but it's definitely going to help mitigate these penalties. And all this works too for the Void Crusades. Remember how I was riding the struggle bus for those for damage? I can completely mitigate that. I can roll in and just start backhanding guys left and right if I can just get the damage out. Man, this room is big. I didn't even realize I'm only halfway through. I was like, oh, I'm making good headway. Nah. Completely spaced. I want to sit down and break all this stuff on the side, but it's just not worth the time or effort. I mean, it can be. It's just annoying to watch me sit here and be like, doo-doo-doo, and laser everyone for 20 credits. Clear out all that easy. Yeah, even... I mean, trash mobs are trash mobs. They'll go down easy no matter what, but It seems like they're even going a little easier than normal. I'm able to stand in poison gas and not die instantly. The only problem is I don't get the bonus from the, like, armor breaker damage, which is, I mean, it's 9, will be 12% by the end of this, but that's still 12% damage I didn't have. Never say no to that. Completely spaced. Thought I had my needle rifle out. I was like, oh, I'll just quick do a AoE and then shoots the laser. I was like, oh, wait a second, that's not the right weapon. I was just thinking, like, in Borderlands, you know how they have, like, the 4 weapons? I couldn't imagine having multiple past just the 2 for this, because I find you're pretty solid with 2 weapons. You know, you either have a melee and a range, or you have a physical and a heat range. You know, boom, you're done. If you play the Tech Adept, you don't even really need 2. I usually use typically whichever one gives me more more abilities, like, because you can have more summons depending on if it's like a, I think it's alpha or beta weapon, and I just use whichever one gives me more so I can have more whatever running around. And I know the plasma caliber, one of them, when you hit a guy, it splits and it'll like bounce into nearby enemies. I usually just use that, or I think the radium carbine fires bursts. So, you know, it's arguably fairly basic, but it's all stuff that does its job fine and well. Admittedly, they really need more range weapons for them. 2 range weapons with a variation on each to a grand total of 4 is kinda BS. Because, like, oh, you have so many options, and most of them are just melee weapons. You don't even have a lot of melee weapons. They have, I think, an axe. They have 2 axes. I get it. They're mostly built around their robots, and you should be using those more. All the servitors. I still like to attack stuff. And because I contribute to the damage and can help kill things faster than waiting for my stupid Castellan robots to go in. Especially when 9 times out of 10 the Castellan robots are like, hey, I have a very powerful long-range weapon. I'm gonna walk up and punch the thing. It's like, no, don't do that. I gave you a powerful gun for a reason. Please use it. And they're just like, nope, you gotta go into melee. That is my existence. It's like, no, don't, please. Stop, for the love of God. You are doing the one thing I ask you not to do. You know what'd be nice for this game? I'm trying to think, like a manual, effectively. You know, it shows every enemy, it's like, oh, they're typically this, so they're weak to these things, and here's what blind debuff does, here's what poison does, it does this for this long, for this many seconds, and kind of explains each and every effect in a condensed and easily accessible manner, instead of having to pull up each weapon, go to the skills, be like, okay, this is what Fleshbane does, and then stop and try to find your other weapons, look at those and be like, okay, that's what this does, and having to flip-flop back and forth. You know, I like having things all in one place. And those kind of manuals are nice, because that's the kind of stuff you used to have in a lot of, like, old, games, whether it's on console or on PC. I mean, remember game manuals? Like, I remember... God, I think it's my Galactic Civilizations 2 game for PC. I had the, like, Game of the Year Ultimate Edition, and it came with the biggest manual that had a bunch of stuff in it. There was one for Star Wars Empire at War that doubled as like a small, like, Prima guide to the game. And it was like, oh, here's some tips for the first few missions. Completely useless. You know, who really needs help on the tutorial missions? But it had all this stuff, and I appreciate that kind of stuff. Or you used to have the manuals that would be like, oh, here's a couple like little hints inside there because we know nobody ever reads these things. Or they'd include some artwork. Or just little things like that. I always appreciated them. It was a little thing that added to the experience, I think. Now, most games don't even include instructions in-game. Most of them is just like, lol, figure it out, dumbass. It's a little rough. It's hard out here for a pimp, you know? But I understand. I hate when they try to argue it as a cost thing. I'm like, it was like some of these were like 15-page booklets. The most expensive thing was the couple dollars for God knows how many staples you needed. That's the worst and most expensive part. Don't lie to me and be like, this was causing our overhead to be so high we had to up the price by $10. Like, no. A wimpy manual does not cost that. Remember, like I had said, the Prima guides? That's one of those things that makes me feel old. I still have my original Elder Scrolls Oblivion guide. No DLC in it, not even the Game of the Year edition, the standard edition guide for the game.
I found you guilty of heresy.
I find stuff like that just really cool, though, because the whole idea of having physical guides, it's so dated now, because you can just search on YouTube.
In range.
Oh, how do I do this? Well, you got 15 guys who will tell you how to do it. Granted, some dudes will meander for, 8 minutes talking about their day before actually showing you how to do the thing they advertise in the video or in the title, being like, how to do this. 20 minutes later, they finally get to how to do it. It's like, nah, dude, just... If you're going to be the guy who tells you how to do some one thing, just do the one thing. But I get it, you gotta milk the ad rev. Oh god, I'm getting hit hard by something. I have to just keep strafing around, dipping to cover where I can. Just try to heal. Yeah, you would move, wouldn't you? Yeah, because now that he's dead, this guy's easy. Wait, who's left? Bruh. I really missed 3 back there? Okay. Where am I now? A teleport beacon to move me out 1 room. Gee, thanks. So much effort for me to just turn around and run for 3 to 5 seconds. I completely spaced on that room. I can believe it. Just tad annoying. I feel like when you beat like the final quote-unquote boss of an area like this, it should just take any existing enemies and start just rushing them towards you. Because it's like, I have to backtrack all this way for, I'm gonna guess, some regular mutant dudes, maybe some gunners. At absolute most, it might be a Space Marine. Nope. Almost went the wrong way. So it's not even like these are a major enemy, it's probably just piddly trash mobs I failed to scoop up. Probably Chaos Spawn, actually. Oh. Unbound Grunt, an Alpha Legion Sniper, and another Unbound Grunt. Dead, dead, dead.
Today is a good day.
I'll take it. Ooh, Archaeotech Grav Gun. Single target, one hit kills, cause an explosion. Kind of really sucks. But I might be able to reroll that. Poison on physical skill hit, might be useful. We'll see. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.